Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Sunshines. How are we doing out there? Monday morning, 7 a.m. We're making it over here. I know it takes you guys just a second to log on. But oh my gosh, has this not been so amazing, you guys? This gaining wisdom and it's just awesome. We all need wisdom right now. We all need wisdom. Now, my kids may come into the shot at any time. I'm a real life mom over here. My daughter just woke up and she said, "Mom, I had a dream that it was me and you and Moses and Dad, and the world was full of hippos. And there was hippos in my bathroom." So she just woke up and she's eating Fruit Loops. So she may or may not interrupt us, but that's okay because she's great. So I am loving this. I have read I even told my husband last night, my husband's read the Proverbs a lot too. And I'm like, you need to read it with me. And so I think he's going to read Proverbs as well. There is so many good things in the book of Proverbs. Oh my gosh. It's like meaty. It's like a steak dinner. It's so incredibly good. So today, hopefully over the weekend, how many of you guys read Proverbs 3 and 4 over the weekend? Did you guys read Proverbs 3 and 4? You can tell me in the comments if you read Proverbs 3 and 4. I definitely did. Last night I read Proverbs 5 as well. And then this morning I got up and read Proverbs 5 again as well. And listen, this Proverbs just goes there, okay? So something that you might not hear at church because it's a little scandalous, you're going to hear in the book of Proverbs, okay? I love it because it's not me saying it. It's not anyone that you can get mad at saying it. It's Solomon, the wisest man that ever was born, that says some of this stuff. And God thought it was pretty awesome, so we put it in the Bible. Okay, good. I'm so glad you guys read it. Now, I want to take your attention, and I'll be quick so you guys can get about your day. I want to take your attention to Proverbs 4, and then I'm going to take just a second and talk about Proverbs 5 because you read that yesterday. Proverbs 4 is so interesting because it's all about a father's instruction. Well, who was Solomon's dad? Do y'all know who Solomon's dad was? David. King David was Solomon's dad. So in Proverbs 4, we hear from Solomon's mouth basically wisdom that King David had given Solomon. It's so fascinating to me that we're almost getting an inside look into the father-son relationship there. We're almost seeing in their intimate conversations, and conversations that maybe you want to hear, but you don't hear. We're seeing some of their conversation that they have when David is imparting wisdom to Solomon, his son. I love that little tidbit that maybe you missed as you read Proverbs 4. Let me read a couple things to you. When I was a son, Proverbs 4:3 says this: when I was a son to my father, David, tender, and the only son in the sight of my mother, then he taught me and said, so this is David now speaking, let your heart hold fast to my words. Keep my commandments and live, okay? And he goes on, and you guys read it for yourself, but one of the things I want to highlight out of this proverb is this. Watch, verse 23, over your heart with all diligence. Watch over your heart with all diligence, for from it flow the springs of life. Put away from you a deceitful mouth, and put devious speech far from you. Now, this is a famous proverb. We've all heard about this proverb. But I think it's so important that one of the things in Proverbs 4, when he's talking about his dad and what his dad told him and things that his dad has told him to do, one of the things that he highlights in this chapter is to watch over your heart with all diligence. We are not doing a good job in our culture watching over our heart with all diligence. We are actually doing the opposite. We're letting a lot of things into our heart that we should not be letting into our heart. The way this says it is, there's a reason why you need to watch over your heart. Because from it flows things. It flows the river, it flows the springs of life, okay? It says in Matthew, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So people are going to know what's in your heart just by what comes out of your mouth. There is a reason why he says put a guard over your heart. You should protect your heart. You should protect what you allow to really get to you. You should put a guard around it. Now, we hear a lot of this today. This is one thing that drives me up a wall, you guys, and I'm just going to tell it like it is. Everyone being offended over everything all the time. I absolutely cannot stand it. I hate it. Everyone's offended. Oh, you do this, you don't do this. You like this, you don't like this. Go to school, not go to school. You're for this guy, I'm for this guy. Everyone is so offended all of the time. And this is a symptom of people that have not protected and guarded their heart. Listen, I could have a strong point of view and really refrain from being offended by you. You can say something that I fundamentally disagree with on every single level, and it won't offend me because I have guarded my heart against things like that, and I know where my security comes from. In this culture right now, we are not guarding our hearts. We're letting everything in. We're letting our emotions fly. We're saying things that we don't actually, I think, really mean, but it comes out of an overflow of what's in our heart. We've been so offended. We've been hurt by people. And yes, people hurt us and people have hurt me. But you know what? I have also learned to protect and my heart so that if someone on social media calls me crazy, which happens every single day, it does not ruin my day. I know where my stability comes from, and it's not from someone who doesn't know me making a judgment call about me. God, this is so incredibly important. Guard your heart. Guard it with all, what does he say? Diligence. Be diligent about guarding your heart. If you are more concerned about a comment on social media that someone says because you wear a mask or don't wear a mask, guys, and it ruins your day, you haven't guarded your heart. And I'm talking to you like a mama now. But we, in this area, we're looking at a society of people that have hearts that are not protected. They haven't said, you know what? I am going to protect myself from allowing someone to hurt me, especially when it's something as small as a comment on social media. This is why this is in this chapter. Guard your heart with all diligence. Because when you get offended and when you get hurt, it's going to come out. And we want and must be people in the church as believers. We must be people that speak life over situations, that speak hope over situations, that speak wisdom over situations. We must be a people that rise up and are able to rise above some of the stuff that's going on social media, so that we can be the gospel of Jesus Christ and show people what the gospel of Jesus Christ is in our world today. We are put on this planet during this time on purpose. And if we as a believer don't guard our heart, we will not be a good witness. And that's talking to you like a mama, and that's pretty hardcore, but I didn't say it. Solomon said it. So I can laugh. I love that one. And I think what you're seeing today is a lot of people that have been hurt, that haven't guarded their heart. They've been hurt. I'll read some of these comments on some of these posts, and people lashing out and screaming and, just using all this terrible language. And, you know what I see? I see so many people that have been hurt. I see a world that is hurt. A world that have not protected their heart, and they've let things in. And clearly there is always a reason to stand up, and you can stand up and you can have a point of view and you can fight for what you believe in without completely hurting the other person. There is a way to do it. But I just see a lot of people that have been hurt and they haven't guarded their heart, which is why Proverbs says, guard your heart. Guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it comes the springs of life. Okay, there's that one. The next one I want to talk about is 23. Put away from you a deceitful mouth and put devious speech far from you. This is a really easy to say. This is really an easy way to put it. Put away a deceitful mouth from you. Choose your friends wisely. Put away from you a deceitful mouth and put devious speech far from you. Who are you listening to? Who is your group of friends? Who are you surrounding yourself with? If you're surrounding yourself with someone that constantly is lying to you, or you've got a friend that constantly is lying to you, and they just are intentional on doing evil, and whatever you describe evil the way that you want to describe evil, put them away. Choose your friends wisely. Choose your friends wisely is what Solomon is saying right here. Now let's move on to Proverbs 5. And this is where it's going to get a little bit dicey, okay? Going to get a little dicey. This whole proverb, which is the proverb that I wanted you guys to read today, is all about the immorality, adultery, okay? And he specifically right here is talking he says, my son, give attention to my wisdom. This is a little bit dicey, okay? You probably haven't had a conversation like this in a long time. But he goes into this discourse of why you should not commit adultery. That's basically what he says, okay? He talks about the lips of an adulteress. They drip honey. They're sweet. They're very tempting, okay? Smoother than oil is her speech, but at the end, she is as bitter as wormwood. And you could flip that around to man as well. Don't commit adultery is basically what he's saying. Because this, and in verse 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, he tells you why. Because he knows that it will ruin your life. If you are married and you go outside of your marriage, he knows, and he is flat up sending a warning that if you do that, it's going to ruin your life. And how many people have we heard of over the years that, maybe we know a friend, someone that has been cheated on, and in fact, it does ruin their marriage. A lot of people stay together. They go through counseling, which is amazing, but a lot of families break up because of this. So this is a little bit dicey. You're not going to hear this every day, but Solomon is very clearly being practical here. Listen, learn, and he talks about it in verse 15. Drink water from your own cistern, which is a good way of saying stay faithful to your mate. I would never have put it like that. Drink water from your own cistern. But that's the way he puts it, and it's pretty great, okay? When you resist the temptation to go outside of your marriage and you stay faithful, there is an amazing blessing that comes from that. It's the way God intended it. He speaks very loudly in the New Testament about going outside of your marriage, but it is something that we don't talk about enough. I probably have gotten thousands, maybe thousands of messages from y'all. Not you specifically, but you, like followers that have said to me and my team, my husband cheated on me. My wife cheated on me. We've been married for 25 years. My entire life is ruined. Autumn, what do I do? We get them all the time. All the time. And every time we get a message like that, my heart breaks. Because I know this passage, Proverbs 5, is in the Bible. And this is a passage that is included that is practical for wisdom in our lives. Satan is always in our marriages. Always. He's always going to do it. But I have seen real life marriages destroyed after lifetimes because of this right here. Adult children have contacted us. What do I do? My parents are getting a divorce. My mom ran out on my dad. My dad ran out, whatever. And it is a heartbreaking, horrific thing. So let me give you a piece of advice. If you're tempted to have an affair, go to counseling instead. Go to biblical counseling. Take your wife, take your husband with you, sit there, go to counseling and work out your issues with a biblical counselor and with the Bible. Okay, we went there. Okay. The last thing I want to talk about, and then we'll be done for the day, says this: for the ways of a man are before the Lord. For the ways of a man are before the Lord. And it says this: and he watches all his paths. This is in verse 21. For the ways of a man are before the Lord, the eyes of the Lord, and he watches all of his paths. I want you guys to be very aware that as we are living this life, God is watching. He knows. He knows the way that we take. He sees what we're doing. I get so frustrated when people say, God doesn't know I'm here, or God's forgotten about me, because of one of the reasons is because of this verse. The ways of a man are before the eyes of the Lord, and he watches all of his paths. God sees exactly what we're doing. And when we get into a point where we're tempted to go outside our marriages, or to make a stupid decision, or to hang out with someone that's just not a really good person, someone that lies to us all the time or something like that, he is watching and he is there to assist us. So today, as you go through your day, I want you to read Proverbs 5 if you haven't read it already, but also start having a new awareness. Maybe you know this, maybe you've been in church your whole life. I certainly have been in church my whole life, and I certainly have heard this a lot. But hearing it and intellectually knowing it and living like it is two totally different things. I want you to live like you know what is held in Proverbs 1-5. And we'll end with that. For the ways of a man are before the eyes of the Lord, and he watches all his path. God is watching. He's watching to assist us. He's watching to correct us. He's watching. He's watching us. And that is a great comfort to me because I need his help 24/7. And I know you guys do too. I'll see you tomorrow for Proverbs 6, but I hope this helps you gain wisdom. Gain wisdom. We're gaining wisdom here. And man, Proverbs is like straight to the point. That's the kind of girl I am, so I love it. I'll see you guys tomorrow.